Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Wrestling Entertainment. This is Joel Perez here for another edition of your weekly Monday Night Raw reviews, and it was your Monday Night Raw review for the date of January 29th, 2018. It was your post-Royal Rumble 2018 Monday Night Raw. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania, and WWE started things off pretty excitingly, if I might say so myself. Now, they put on a lot of big matches on this show, which I wouldn't have even put on this show, quite frankly. I mean, unannounced, no-build, pay-per-view level matches is what we saw here tonight on Monday Night Raw, and there was no build to it. It was unannounced. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. These are money-making matches, what we saw on Monday Night Raw tonight, and none of that was capitalized on. We saw a first-ever matchup between John Cena and Finn Balor in the main event of Raw tonight. Sasha Banks versus Asuka, another first-ever matchup as well. A tag team championship matchup. An Intercontinental Championship matchup, a last man standing match between Kane and Braun Strowman, Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, Elias versus Matt Hardy being one of them. I mean, there were so many top caliber matches on Raw here tonight, and that was not capitalized on. These are matches that you can take into an Elimination Chamber and put on as a singles match. Nonetheless, having these matches on Monday Night Raw, I mean, Finn Balor versus John Cena could have been a dream match that you'd put on at a Big Four pay-per-view, but it's given away on Raw here tonight and not embraced to its fullest potential. If you ask me, that's a mistake. That's a big mistake. On the bright side, it did make for a decent edition of Monday Night Raw tonight. Surprisingly, this Monday Night Raw was better than what we saw last week on Raw, with all those legends and the Manhattan Center and the nostalgia, which all fizzled out. And when you really factored in the equation, you looked back and you said, well, that wasn't anything special. I would come and tell you that tonight's Monday Night Raw was better than Raw 25. And in hindsight, if you would have told me that 1 week ago, I wouldn't have believed you. Here we are, and Raw 25 sucked. This show, the post-show to the Royal Rumble, kicking off WrestleMania season, was a decent show here tonight for Monday Night Raw. Not a bad way to start the WrestleMania season. Hopefully they go on forward, capitalizing on this excitement. Hopefully they do. This was a Monday Night Raw that a lot of people surely wanted to watch. The Royal Rumble pay-per-view was actually a good 7-on-10, 6-on-10 pay-per-view last night. It was a good pay-per-view. I'm not taking anything away from the Royal Rumble. Very thumbs up pay-per-view. Probably the best Royal Rumble match that we've seen in the past 5 years was the 2018 Royal Rumble. Everything that needed to happen happened. Of course, there were mistakes along the way, just like there were on Raw tonight, but they're doing things the right way. They're starting off the Elimination Chamber, and they're deciding who's going to be in the Elimination Chamber through qualifying matches. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I do. That's how you should have decided some entrance to the Royal Rumble. There were no qualifying matches to the Royal Rumble. If you wouldn't have told me that there was a Royal Rumble pay-per-view, I wouldn't have even known there was a Royal Rumble by just watching the build on WWE television, because they weren't building towards a Royal Rumble. It seemed like they were building towards nothing. They're actually building towards the Elimination Chamber, putting on qualifying matches. John Cena versus Finn Balor, Elias versus Matt Hardy, and Braun Strowman versus Kane being the ones that we saw here tonight. Now, that led to some of the most annoying parts of the show, and some of my gripes with the show here tonight. For example, How many times are they going to point at that WrestleMania sign? My God, if this is how the WrestleMania build, the road to WrestleMania is going to be, please, I'm already going to sit out if you're going to point at the WrestleMania sign 50 times in a single segment. Literally, how many times was the WrestleMania sign pointed at in the opening segment alone? You got to be kidding me with that one. You really do. It is ridiculous. Another thing, here tonight, you had Braun Strowman pull another one of these acts, which it seems like he's known for now. He pulled another one of these acts where he's flipping somebody over onto another superstar. Tonight, the unfortunate victim of the attack was Kane. And he took the entire announce booth, not just the announce table, but the booth itself, did Braun Strowman, and he tossed it on Kane. I do not know how many times tonight they went and showed a camera angle of that booth. Alright, we get it. It's flipped over. It's a cool visual on Monday Night Raw. But literally, every single chance they got in the middle of matches, in the middle of entrances, the Revival was making their entrance here tonight, and they literally had the camera on that announce table like, alright, I saw it the last 10 times. I was good the first time. I said alright the second time. By the third time, I was fed up, bro. And they showed it literally like 20 times here tonight. Okay, he flipped over an announce table. It was a cool moment. I get it. Let's move on. But no, they literally showed you that damn announce table 15 different times during this show. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous with that one. One thing that I am liking on Monday Night Raw is Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks seems to be finally tapping in to that boss character that I loved her so much for when she was in NXT. It seems like Sasha Banks has made a seamless transition into being a heel. Last night at the Royal Rumble match, you saw her, and she had, especially towards the end of the matchup, this huge attitude problem going on, bro. She was bad-mouthing everybody. There was a point where she was in the corner with Asuka, and she was like, you think nobody's ready for Asuka? Well, I'm ready for Asuka. And then she slaps Asuka right across the face. I LOL'd. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. And here tonight, when she was cutting promos, when she was in that opening segment against Asuka, she sounded like the boss. She didn't sound like the Sasha Banks who came out and says, well, Asuka, I'm one of the most decorated women on Raw, and I would like to take the honor of this. You know, Sasha Banks came out here tonight and said what she needed to say. She sounded more like the heel Sasha Banks that we all know and love, instead of this pussified Sasha Banks that we've been getting for the past 2 years on Monday Night Raw. Sasha Banks sounded better tonight than she has sounded for the past 2 years on Monday Night Raw. This is the Sasha Banks I had been waiting for, and hopefully this is a heel turn. Now, you could have made money off of this heel turn and capitalized on this heel turn, even though that's a discussion for a whole nother goddamn video. You could have capitalized on that, gone ahead and done Banks and Bayley, but of course you didn't go ahead and do that. But I don't care. Sasha Banks going and tapping into that heel persona, I mean, it's better than nothing. And that's literally what Sasha Banks has been doing as of late. Nothing. And she did go and have a matchup where she almost killed herself against Asuka. We will talk about that. That was a scary, scary spot that Sasha Banks did. We will talk about that on the Raw review. And that's pretty much all we had to talk about on Raw here tonight. A lot of talking points on Monday Night Raw here tonight. Almost forgot about this one. There will be a Women's Elimination Chamber match. So there you go with that one. The Women's Elimination Chamber was announced here tonight. I like the way it was announced. It wasn't this entire dramatic scenario where Stephanie McMahon brought every woman out and said, there's gonna be an Elimination Chamber. No, she just said, and by the way, there is gonna be an Elimination Chamber match. That's much better. That's much better. Stop throwing this history-making, evolution starting, we've never done this before mantra in our face, because instead of feeling natural, it will feel like forced political jargon. They're finally starting to put the focus on actual storytelling in that women's division, as they should. The Elimination Chamber will determine the new champion for Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss will be defending her title in that Elimination Chamber. We will talk about that in more detail as well. But for now, that's pretty much all the talking points on Raw. Of course, I want you guys to make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Last week was a huge week for content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Of course, if you missed the Royal Rumble 2018 review, make sure to go check that out up on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. The review for that, I had a lot of fun talking about that jam-packed pay-per-view last night as well, and I think I had even more fun talking about this one, talking about NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, which happened on Saturday. Of course, every time that we see an NXT TakeOver event, it's going to be a special night for wrestling, and that's exactly what it was. I'd go as far as to say that NXT TakeOver was better than the Royal Rumble, and NXT TakeOver is almost better, always, than the pay-per-view that comes after it, than the main roster pay-per-view that comes after it. NXT always outshines it. And that's just what NXT does. Even though the Royal Rumble was not bad, NXT was amazing. Make sure to go check out the review for that. If you do not watch NXT, I highly recommend that you watch NXT, especially Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship, which happened last night, or Saturday night, I should say, at the NXT TakeOver Philadelphia pay-per-view, as well as your Raw and Smackdown reviews for last week. Last week was, of course, Raw 25 and the Smackdown Go-Home Show into the Royal Rumble. So if you missed any of that, as well as preview and predictions for the Royal Rumble and NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, if you want to see my mindset going into any of those pay-per-views. But for now, I want you guys to make sure to tell me what you guys thought about Raw here tonight in the comment section down below, because your opinion is just as important as mine. And of course, I want you to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel for all this good content and so much more coming. Clearly, last week was a jam-packed week for the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. It's WrestleMania season, baby. There's going to be a lot more of those to come, so make sure to subscribe for everything regarding the WWE right here on Ringside Wrestling. For now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go straight into the Monday Night Raw results. And the show tonight did start with Stephanie McMahon and Asuka in an opening segment that declared the Asuka versus Sasha Banks match that happens on tonight's show. Let's watch this segment, and then I will tell you what I think about it. Here it is.
Asuka, congratulations on your historic win last night. You are going to WrestleMania. Now, normally this would be the moment where I would ask you which champion you were going to face. Is it the Smackdown Women's Champion, Charlotte? Is it the Raw Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss? But before you make that decision, you might want to wait. Because Alexa Bliss, well, she might not be Raw Women's Champion come WrestleMania. That's because Alexa Bliss will be defending her championship in 4 weeks in the first ever all-women's Elimination Chamber match. Wow. With that being said, Asuka, this is your night. This is your moment. Tell them what you want to say. Arigato, WWE Universe! 私の旅はまだまだこれから始まったばっかりなんですわ。私がここに来たんはチャンピオンになるためや。
You know, it's funny how Asuka has better promo skills than almost everybody on the WWE roster. She's not even speaking English. That's funny. And then she points at the WrestleMania sign. So does Stephanie, of course.
WrestleMania. I last night
And
was
here's
a
Sasha
dream
Banks.
come true. Last night we got to make history and main event a Royal Rumble yet again. You see, Asuka, last night I got to share a ring with 29 incredible women, and one of them being you. Last night I proved that I can go the distance. So nobody's ready for Asuka? I'm ready for Asuka tonight.
And I love the way Sasha Banks got in the face of Asuka. They literally had their foreheads against each other.
Tonight, it's official. We will have the boss, Sasha Banks, go one-on-one against Asuka.
Stephanie McMahon's voice is so cringeworthy, by the way. Just the way she said Asuka. Oh my god, that is absolutely earblood. But speaking of Stephanie McMahon being on Monday Night Raw, I like her in this role where she's there when she needs to be there. There's no reason to have Stephanie McMahon on Raw every week, and she's clearly taking a more subsided, I should say, role as the commissioner of Monday Night Raw, and I like that. Actually, that's a role I think Shane McMahon should take, that he's only there when he needs to. Shane McMahon, you're the commissioner, and you have a general manager, and you're literally there every single week. I understand that they're building a storyline between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, but even when they weren't doing that, Shane McMahon was on Smackdown Live each and every single week. That's a rule that I think he should step back from and take it more like Stephanie, that you're there when you need to be. Even William Regal, he's the general manager of NXT. William Regal's not on NXT every week. William Regal's on NXT when he needs to make an announcement, and he's a great authority figure because of that, and I like that. But that's just my opinion on Stephanie McMahon being on Monday Night Raw. As far as Asuka versus Sasha Banks goes, that goes into what I was saying when I started this Monday Night Raw review. You're giving away a matchup that can literally go on at a pay-per-view. Why didn't you have Sasha Banks versus Asuka at the Elimination Chamber? That would have been a great matchup. Why didn't you have Asuka being a fighting woman and put her WrestleMania Royal Rumble win on the line against Sasha Banks? Why not do that? Hey, you lasted 54 minutes, whatever the hell it was in the Royal Rumble. You know what? You wanna step up to the plate? I'll give you a shot at it. But you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. And have Asuka pretty much put that on the line. But of course, they did not build to this matchup. I mean, you've had multiple other opportunities to do this matchup. Sasha Banks has literally been floating around doing nothing for months on Monday Night Raw. Now I'm supposed to believe that she's legitimate. I'm supposed to believe that she could last 54 minutes in a Royal Rumble. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. There's no storyline continuity in this goddamn in the goddamn WWE. I don't get it. But as far as Sasha Banks versus Asuka, I mean, there's not much more complaining I can do about that. Clearly, those two were going to put on a good match, and that's exactly what they did. Now, when we do get to speaking about the matchup, we'll talk about how Sasha Banks is absolutely reckless with herself in that ring. But my God, we will talk about that. But that was a fine opening segment. Again, I love the way Sasha Banks came across in this segment. She came across as the heel Sasha Banks, and I've been waiting for that for a long time. It's been a while. In this segment, they did not show it in the clip that I played you, but Stephanie McMahon also announced the Women's Elimination Chamber. At this point, if you're complaining about that, I don't even know where you're coming from. I mean, realistically, they already had the Royal Rumble. They already did the Hell in a Cell. The Elimination Chamber is safer now. It's not the same steel structure that it used to be. I mean, it's a lot safer. And I feel like last year, what they did was they tested the new structure. It worked out well. And now this year that they see that the new structure is safe and it works out well, they're going to put women in the new, safer Elimination Chamber where you can also do those higher spots as well. So I do not see the women putting on a bad Elimination Chamber match. I mean, they did well with the Royal Rumble. Clearly, it's not going to be as physical as the men's. I mean, they're not going to be going through pods or anything. I would be surprised. if you can even get a Sasha Banks through a pod, if you can even get an Alexa Bliss through a pod, maybe a Nia Jax, but I mean, I'm not sure what they're going to be doing with that, but at this point, there's no point in complaining about that. I mean, they're going to do what they got to do, and as long as they don't shove it down my throat like they did this Women's Royal Rumble, I'll be fine with it. They did not do that too much here tonight. They didn't, and hopefully it remains that way. Hopefully, as long as the focus is on the Women's Championship, as it should be. I did not see Alexa Bliss tonight on Monday Night Raw. She should have been. I don't know what she was doing, why she was missing from Raw here tonight. But, I mean, as long as the focus is on that Raw Women's Championship, as long as you keep Asuka in the limelight, I like how they did put Asuka in the limelight in this segment as well. Last night, Asuka's moment was kind of pushed to the side just to have Ronda Rousey show up. I mean, she just won the Royal Rumble, and then Ronda Rousey, after doing nothing, just gets to show up and outshine Asuka. Stephanie McMahon made it a highlight. Tonight is Asuka's night. So I like how they highlighted Asuka in this segment. Asuka continues to look like a badass on Monday Night Raw. And after the segment, we went to the announcers to hype tonight's show. And of course, Jonathan Coachman joined the Monday Night Raw announce team. Of course, former general manager of Monday Night Raw. I mean, how do you go down from Booker T? That's all I can ask you right there. He's pretty good. He's not bad, but then again, anything was better than Booker T. I mean, even when Booker T started, I said, well, he's doing pretty well for himself because it wasn't a Byron Saxton. We were tired. We were burnt out of a Byron Saxton. Now we're at that point where we're tired. We're burnt out of a Booker T. It's going to be a test of time with this one. If 5 weeks later, Jonathan Coachman is still on Raw commentary, and we're saying, well, he's still pretty good. Then, I mean, then that will tell us what type of announcer he is. But Booker T, even when he first came in, we were just dying for something new and something fresh. So when Booker T did come in, we were like, oh, Booker T's doing pretty good in the role. But clearly, those 5 weeks, those 6 weeks, those 7 weeks, those 8 weeks passed, and Booker T started becoming the worst thing about Monday Night Raw, and it was not good, like Booker T always says. So hopefully Jonathan Coachman stands the test of time. I know Corey Graves certainly does. Corey Graves is fantastic in his role. Corey Graves is the best commentator you have on the Raw announce team, probably since JR and Jerry the King Lawler. Michael Cole, I'm absolutely tired of Michael Cole. I mean, if you changed Michael Cole, that would change the presentation of Monday Night Raw. It really would. That would really change the commentary team and mix it up a lot. Hopefully they do in the future, but they announced qualifying matches for tonight. Of course, Matt Hardy versus Elias, John Cena versus Finn Balor, and a last man standing match with Kane versus Braun Strowman, and that was actually the next matchup. This didn't even go long. They went brawling into the crowd, and the match was underway. They brawled at ringside. Kane took control and beat Braun with a kendo stick. They fought towards the production area, and Braun turned it around there. He used a steel chair on Kane, and he had Braun took Kane down, of course, in front of the announce table booth, and he just flipped the whole booth on Kane. That, of course, ended the matchup, and it was a cool spot. I don't know how many more of these they can keep pulling off with Braun Strowman. I mean, it gets less exciting each time. I remember popping huge back in early 2017. I actually believe it was the night or a week after WrestleMania where they did that segment where Braun Strowman just beat the hell out of Roman Reigns all over the place. And when he flipped over the ambulance, it was truly a sight to behold. When you kept doing these spots with Braun Strowman where he flipped stuff over, clearly the production truck that we saw a couple weeks ago, the stage being pulled down, it just sounds like Braun Strowman has a spot monkey addiction, similar to Jeff Hardy back in TNA, according to Matt Hardy. Woken Matt Hardy, who, by the way, is in an absolutely terrible state on Monday Night Raw. We will get to that. But, I mean, it's losing its value. You've got to pull these special attraction moves by Strowman out at a different time. You really, really do. You can't just keep pulling this out every week and saying, "Oh my God, Strowman's a monster." I mean, at least do something unique. It's gotten to the point where he's just flipping stuff over. At least do something different. At least they tried to vary it up last year. I mean, you had Braun Strowman throwing Kalisto off a dumpster, or off the stage with the dumpster. I mean, now he's just flipping stuff over. Anything he finds, he's flipping it over. So, I mean, realistically, how am I supposed to be invested in seeing the same thing over and over and over again? And again, WWE really watered down the entire moment because they showed the goddamn flipped over booth like 30 different times. And after the segment was over, they had to build a whole announce table. They had to build a whole new announce table at ringside. So the commentary was at ringside for Monday Night Raw here tonight, and not by the stage where it usually is. So that was a little different here tonight. But besides that, this really didn't change anything. Corey Graves actually interviewed Braun Strowman. He had the balls to interview Braun Strowman right after this. And he was asked by Graves, Corey Graves asked Braun what he just did to another human being. And I love how they're just so quick to call Kane a human being, even though they push every single week to call Kane the demon. He's the demon Kane. But as soon as he gets beat up, he's a human being. How can you do that? And Braun Strowman gave the exact explanation he should have gave. You gave me a last man standing match. I was just doing my job. I took him out. So there you go with that one. And back from the break, it was Braun Strowman walking backstage, and Kurt Angle yelled at him. Angle says he is right. He could do more. Angle was not happy. He says Braun continues to put people in danger and Angle just needs a break from him. Braun says Angle is right. He could do more. Braun says he will be the last man standing after the Elimination Chamber and then the last man standing after WrestleMania 34. Elias put on a concert for us. If they really wanted to get Woke and Matt Hardy over, you would have had a segment between Elias and Matt Hardy that led into their matchup. Imagine a segment between Matt Hardy and Elias, with Elias just playing off of what Matt Hardy is saying. That would have been great. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that? Instead, Elias just did his thing. Didn't even mention Matt Hardy. He was just talking about Brock Lesnar and the Elimination Chamber. Didn't even mention any of the delete stuff. You know how much gold you could have come up with? Nope, none of that. Nope, none of that. We just had a standard match between Elias and Matt Hardy, and it was nothing special. It was nothing special. And Matt Hardy continues to lose on Monday Night Raw. He got distracted by the Bray Wyatt little intro thing, and he took the drift away from Elias. And that's all that happened. And that's all that happens. How am I supposed to be invested in Matt Hardy if, one, you were showing no creativity in this feud with Bray Wyatt? I mean, how can you get more creative than Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt? These two whack job characters. And WWE is literally building their feud in the most uncreative way. You've got to be kidding me. You have a creative team for a reason. Use it. It is absolutely ridiculous the way they have been booking this feud. My lord, you could have just had a golden segment with Elias and Matt Hardy. And what happens after the matchup? Instead of having Matt Hardy pick up the mic and say some crazy words to Bray Wyatt, or go to the backstage backstage area looking for Bray Wyatt saying, "I'm going to delete you. Where is Bray Wyatt? I will destroy Abigail of the Sister," or whatever the hell Matt Hardy says, you know? You could have done something crazy with it. Instead, Bray Wyatt just appeared on the Titantron and he laughed. Laughed at what? His 2017 win-loss record? Is that what you were laughing at? Because that's the only thing I'm finding funny. Oh my god, bro. They could be booking this so much better. It is crazy. Show some originality. Show some creativity. No. Instead, Matt Hardy is floundering on Raw. We waited months upon months eagerly to see this. And this is the best you have? My lord. These people show no innovation at all. My god. Anyways, it was The Miz versus Roman Reigns here tonight. The Miz was actually, they showed an Instagram video that he filmed on Roman Reigns, getting his rematch. Miz, he talked some trash, and he got local heat by knocking the Philadelphia Eagles, saying that Tom Brady was going to destroy the Eagles, blah, blah, blah. So clearly using Super Bowl heat to get himself the cheap heat. Anyways, back from break, they showed us the Mixed Match Challenge. I did not watch the last week of the Mixed Match Challenge. I don't even think I'm going to follow up on the goddamn tournament. I do not know. I watched the first week. It was alright. Nothing really to behold. And I'm sure the second week was nothing to behold either. Anyways, Roman Reigns versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. This match was exactly what we've seen from Roman Reigns and The Miz in the past. I mean, the Raw 25 match that they had last week was actually great. It was one of the best parts of Raw 25 besides the opening segment with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon, which was absolutely gold. That was probably the best part of Raw, the match between Roman Reigns and The Miz. But, I mean, you just, again, threw this match on with no announcement, and nobody really cared. Where the hell were we here tonight? This crowd was absolutely abysmal. You know how much better this show would have been with all the matches that they had here? If this crowd would have been better, who were these people? Where the hell were we here tonight? We were in Pennsylvania again. What the hell happened from last night, bro? Pennsylvania was not as good here tonight as they should have been. Last night they were great. I mean, they died down after the Royal Rumble match because who wasn't going to? And they were absolutely fantastic at NXT TakeOver. It seems like everybody died down here tonight. I don't know. They were in the Wells Fargo Center once again, so I don't know what happened here. But The Miz and Roman Reigns, I mean, this matchup was what we seen last week, but worse, shorter, and it didn't have the creative finish that last week had. Literally, last week, Roman Reigns took the skull-crushing finale, he kicked out, and he was able to overcome the Miz-Taraj, but he only left when Miz's brains came into the equation, and he took the second turnbuckle out, and Reigns went straight into it. This week, Miz tried to do the same thing right in front of the referee. Right in front of the referee, so it did not fly this time around when Reigns was trying to break him up from doing the turnbuckle spot. Miz poked him in the eye, got the skull-crushing finale. Reigns kicked out like nobody saw that one coming. And this week, where Roman Reigns was magically able to overcome the Miz-Taraj last week, this week he got caught up in distractions by the Miz-Taraj, and Miz was able to get a 1-2-3 roll-up, and that was pretty much the end of the matchup. Nothing special to behold here. Last week it was great. This week, not so much. The announcers show a replay of how Braun Strowman defeated Kane earlier tonight. They also plugged the Elimination Chamber and show a tweet from Paul Heyman responding to Kurt Angle's Elimination Chamber announcement. It was pretty much Paul Heyman pointing out the fact that, well, they're going through these qualifying matches and the Elimination Chamber itself, ultimately to get to what? To Brock Lesnar. Not much of a reward you got there right there, Mr. Kurt Angle. That's pretty much what Paul Heyman was saying. But we saw a tag team matchup. It was the Revival versus Rhino and Heath Slater. WWE keeps stopping starting the Revival. I mean, if you want to push these guys towards the tag team equation, like what was suggested, or what should be suggested, I mean, why did you have that happen to them last week on Raw 25? They got a win over Gallows and Anderson last night at the Royal Rumble pre-show, and here tonight they got another win against Rhino and Heath Slater. So last week they lost in 3 minutes to Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Last night they were able to beat them, and here tonight they're getting another win against Rhino and Heath Slater, who now WWE is magically playing up as legitimate because they were SmackDown Live, first ever SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions 2 years ago. I don't know, bro. I do not know. After the match, Dash and Dawson, they stood tall as Charlie Caruso interviewed them. Dawson said they just defeated the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions, as if that means anything anymore. Dawson asks how they compared to the legendary Graham brothers, but Charlie, of course, isn't familiar with them. Dash says Charlie doesn't care, just like the fans who are too busy chanting ECW in an attempt to get themselves over. And I love how they use wrestling verbiage, bro. that an analyst would use or something. It just goes to show you how much more knowledgeable they are compared to the rest of the roster, and that's their gimmick. That is their gimmick. Dash says the Revival has learned from the past, but the fans just keep living in it. Pretty good promos from the Revival, bro, and they're amazing in the ring in a high tag team match situation, but WWE does not capitalize. Ridiculous. They announced Titus Worldwide versus The Bar for the tag team championships on this show. For the tag team championships on this show, in the middle of the show. Nothing is announced for Raw. NXT has all their matches announced a week prior, or most of their matches announced a week prior. Their main event is always announced a week prior, or 2 weeks prior, or even 3 weeks prior for that matter. And I'm excited going into all of these shows. I'm excited. None of that on Monday Night Raw. These matches are literally announced as the show starts, or a segment determines this matchup. Like, oh my god, if that segment wouldn't have happened, good shit that it did, because we wouldn't have had a main event tonight. That's how they go into these shows, bro. That's the logic behind this. Anyways, we saw a video promo for the WrestleMania 34 WWE 24. That's cool. Or the WrestleMania 33 WWE 24. And another one for WrestleMania 34, which we're just 69 days away. Of course, they had to highlight that number. Anyways, the announcers led us to the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame video package to the Dudley Boys. I love the fact that the Dudley Boys are going into the Hall of Fame. Is it even a question that they're Hall of Famer? They're like 10-time tag team champions. I mean, of course they're going to go into the Hall of Fame. Just based on what they did in the Attitude Era. And actually, just based on what they did in ECW, they're Hall of Famers, bro. Never mind what they did in the Attitude Era. What they did upon coming back to the WWE, really nothing special. But I mean, the Dudley Boys, of course, are going to be a big part of WWE history. They, of course, they were in the first ever TLC match with the Hardys at WrestleMania 17. Was it at WrestleMania 17 or before that? But there was one at WrestleMania 17. I believe that was the first one where Edge got speared off the ladder. Or is that just the most memorable one because it's at WrestleMania? I'm not sure. But they were in all those matches. So, I mean, clearly the Dudleys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that as far as that discussion goes. And it's going to be a good Hall of Fame with the Dudley Boys in town. Let's go to Dudleyville. Anyways, we get a backstage Twitter video from Finn Balor, who can't stop goddamn smiling. He was with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Sasha Banks was backstage with Renee Young. Sasha says we're a moment away from her win over Asuka, something she's been waiting for a long time. Banks says Asuka made history at the Royal Rumble, but now it's her turn. Sasha Banks versus Asuka. This was a good match. This was a very good TV match, no doubt about that. But Sasha Banks nearly tried to kill herself in this goddamn matchup. I am calling it, bro. My lord, with what Sasha was doing in this matchup, her goal is to get to WrestleMania 34. She ain't gonna make it to tomorrow with what she was doing in this goddamn matchup. She went through the middle rope for a tope suicida and went straight into a kick from Asuka, and she like literally flipped over as she took that kick. I thought she was dead, bro. A 90-pound soaking wet Sasha Banks taking a spot like that. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. That sounds terrible. On top of that, bro. On top of that, when we get back in the ring, I thought she legitimately had a concussion after this one. Asuka did that thing where she pops you up and you go straight into the knee. Sasha Banks fell, hit her head straight on the goddamn floor off that bump, bro. This girl's gonna kill herself in the ring, bro. You think Paige is in a bad position. And again, for those of you blaming it on Sasha Banks, if anything, Sasha Banks is more reckless than with herself than she is with others. Paige, again, I have to say this, was on Lillian Garcia's podcast, saying that the first time she had that like 25-minute match on Raw with Sasha Banks, she Sasha Banks handled her very well, and she felt like she was able to get through that much easier because she was in there with Sasha Banks. But clearly Sasha Banks can't say the same for herself. She looks like she wants to kill herself in the middle of that ring. I thought she was dead. I really thought she was dead, but she did continue the matchup, and it was a good matchup, bro. It really, really was. She locked in the bank statement, did that thing where she puts her foot on the rope and rolls it in, but the finish was pretty cool. Sasha had the bank statement in. Is Asuka gonna tap? Is Asuka gonna tap? Crowd didn't really give a fuck. I don't know what happened to Philadelphia tonight, bro. But Asuka locked in the Asuka lock, and Sasha was tapping. So that was pretty much all in this matchup. Sasha Banks almost kills herself in this matchup, and Asuka walks away with another victory. It was always clear that Asuka was gonna win this match, but goddamn, did Sasha Banks make it seem like Asuka was gonna win this match by KO instead of pinfall? My lord. The Raw Tag Team title match. Titus Worldwide versus The Bar. We don't just set the bar, we are the bar. Anyways, I just love that catchphrase, bro. I really, really do. Anyways, this was a pretty damn good tag team championship matchup. It really picked up towards the end. This made sense. I was wondering how they were going to follow up upon Titus Worldwide getting those 2 victories over Sheamus and Cesaro over the past 2 Monday Night Raws. I'm like, are they just going to leave that in the past? But they actually played up on storyline continuation. Gotta give them props on that one. Sheamus and Cesaro won the tag team championships, and the first people to get a tag team championship match are Titus Worldwide. Here tonight, they weren't as successful as they were in the last 2 weeks, because Cruz presses Cesaro high, but he slides out. Sheamus tags in, but Cruz counters the double team. Sheamus ends up counters Cruz and powerbombs him onto the back of his neck. Sheamus rolls Cruz up, but he's still fighting back. Cruz with the big kick and a standing moonsault for a close to, again, the amazing athleticism of Apollo Crews. Cesaro, he makes the save there. Titus knocks Cesaro to the floor, but runs into Sheamus' boots in the corner. Cesaro tags in and comes at Cruz, but Cruz goes for another close pin attempt. Cruz gets sent into the ring post. The Bar hits the assisted white noise for the pin to retain. So that was a pretty good ending, especially, but a pretty good show for Titus Worldwide. You keep presenting your tag teams on Monday Night Raw like this, that Titus Worldwide actually has a fighting chance, and you can actually have a tag team division. Look at the teams you got. The Revival, Gallows and Anderson. If you want to use Titus Worldwide, Sheamus and Cesaro, Jordan and Rollins. And Jordan, I'm actually hearing that the reason that he was not competing for most of the match last night, and why the matchup ended so abruptly, and why the titles were taken off of Jordan and Rollins, is because Jordan is actually dealing with not a head injury, but a back injury, and it's severe, and he said he just toughed through it last night, but clearly they had to play into the storyline part of it to not have Jordan in there, but he's not cleared. So that's why they took the titles off of him. When they Raw just lost another tag team. Look at the luck that Seth Rollins has with tag team partners. First, Dean Ambrose is injured, then Jason Jordan. I mean, is it a plague to team with Seth Rollins? Why don't you team Roman Reigns with Seth Rollins? Please, I beg you. Anyways, by the way, bro, the person of the night, I forgot to mention this during the Roman Reigns and Miz match. There was a person who put up a sign during the Roman Reigns and Miz match, and it said, "The big dog has fleas." I started dying laughing at that one. That is hilarious, bro. I mean, the big dog, just how much that they say the big dog on WWE television. It's just one of those things, along with "It's boss time" and Byron Saxton back when he was on Monday Night Raw saying "It's the wacky inflatable blah 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 tube men of Bailey," and the big dog when Michael Cole says it, or them pointing at the WrestleMania sign. Just one of those things that they do so much, and it's so annoying, bro. And I love that made fun of that, because the big dog is an absolutely ridiculous goddamn nickname. It is, bro. I am sorry. Holy crap. Anyways, continuing on here. The Bar retained their titles. Still to come was BALOR and Cena. That was actually the main event here tonight. Also a look at Ronda Rousey's arrival at the Royal Rumble. I wonder if she's going to be on Raw or SmackDown. No announcement of that yet. I can see her getting that special treatment and being a free agent, just like John Cena. Anyways, back from the break, the announcers led us to a video package on Asuka winning the Women's Royal Rumble and Ronda Rousey's post-match appearance, plus some social media attention on her signing. We see what happened with Kane and Strowman earlier. Kane was taken to a local medical facility in the emergency room, but it sounds like he's refusing medical attention. You know what would have been great if you would have had Braun Strowman just show up at the hospital and continue to attack Kane. Why don't they do something along those lines? Like along the lines of Austin going to the hospital and just beating the crap out of McMahon, bro. That would have been great. That would have been great. Why don't you do something unique like that with Strowman? If you really want to make Strowman out to be this guy who's just going to injure everybody on your roster and he's not going to give a shit, why don't you do that? I mean, instead of having him just flip some random shit over on you, why don't you have Strowman in the outside world? That'd be a great documentary. Braun Strowman in the outside world. Alright, well, WWE, get to work, bro. You have a whole team of Hollywood-level writers, right? And this is the best they got for Monday Night Raw? You gotta be kidding me, bro. I, in my sleep, can write better shows than WWE. My lord. Anyways, Finn Balor versus John Cena in the main event. Again, this is a pay-per-view level matchup. And the reason I say it's a pay-per-view level matchup is because it should have happened on a pay-per-view. Commercial breaks interrupting this matchup really did not do it any favors, and it wasn't that good, bro. It was alright. It was alright at best, really. I mean, you could have done so much more with this, and John Cena winning the match, instead of giving the opportunity to Finn Balor, what that makes me think is that The Undertaker is going to show up and cost John Cena his Elimination Chamber win. That's what I'm thinking about that. I don't know. Why did John Cena win this matchup? He hit an AA, Finn Balor kicked out, went for the coup de grace, missed the coup de grace, and he took out Cena again. Cena, there was a weird portion of this matchup, he just said, I just want to go to WrestleMania. And he said that to the coachman. He just said, I just want to go to WrestleMania. He stood on the apron for a long time. I just want to go to WrestleMania. That made me shiver, thinking, what if this guy does win the Elimination Chamber? What if it's Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at WrestleMania? That is not something that sounds very nice to me. I mean, I could see them doing it. I don't put anything past the WWE. Even then, I'd rather see Brock Lesnar versus John Cena than Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I don't know about you, but that's the way I feel about that. But John Cena did win this matchup. I think it's still going to be Undertaker versus John Cena at WrestleMania. I mean, the fact that the Undertaker didn't come out and directly retire on Raw 25, and he really didn't say much. He just made the appearance to make the appearance, if you ask me. I mean, that makes me believe that John Cena or the Undertaker is going to come back. And what else is there for Undertaker to do than to go at it with John Cena? Really, nothing else for him to do. So I think that's why John Cena won this matchup. I still would have had Finn Balor in there. I mean, if you really wanted to do it like that, why not just have Finn Balor versus Matt Hardy? I mean, are you kidding me? Roman Reigns is clearly going to be in there because he's probably going to be the favorite to win it. But Finn Balor lost this matchup. Cena with the Super A up the top. Pinned Finn Balor clean on Monday Night Raw. No interference from Gallows and Anderson either. Gallows and Anderson, they came out with Finn Balor, I think. But were they even at ringside? I'm not even sure. But that was pretty much it for Monday Night Raw here tonight. A lot of big matches. There was a decent show. There were good matches as well on Raw here tonight. Like I said, the Tag Team Championship matchup and Sasha Banks versus Asuka was not necessarily bad. I mean, Sasha Banks did try to kill herself, but I enjoyed that matchup. And Finn Balor versus John Cena wasn't bad, but it's a mistake. Why are you putting a match of that caliber on Raw with no build or storyline? As a matter of fact, that pisses me off. And the fact that Finn Balor lost does that match no favors. But that is besides the point, ladies and gentlemen. That was all for Monday Night Raw here tonight. A lot of stuff announced. Women's Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. They're going about it the right way for the most part. Not doing things too shabby after the Royal Rumble, which wasn't too shabby in and of itself. So make sure to leave your comments on Monday Night Raw. Tell me what you thought of Raw here tonight in the comment section below, because for now, this is going to be all. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to go check out all the other content. Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view reviews, NXT TakeOver reviews, Behind the Mic each and every single week. All that good stuff right here on Ringside Wrestling. So make sure to like, make sure to comment, and of course, make sure to subscribe if you do not want to miss anything right here on Ringside Wrestling. For now, this has been Joel Perez, and I am out of here. Thank you very, very much for watching this video, and I will see you tomorrow for your SmackDown Live review. It's going to be interesting to see what Shinsuke Nakamura has to say following his Royal Rumble win. Will we see AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura go face to face? I'm excited. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. For now, I'll see you later.